Friends, we gather together this afternoon to celebrate the life and to honor the memory of Dr. Gerald Goldberg. Jerry's family so very much appreciates your presence here with them, which offers them a great deal of comfort and support. Adonai ma'adam v'teda ehu ben enosh v'chashvehu. O Lord, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath, our days are as a passing shadow. We come and we go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, in the evening it fades and it withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, return, you mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away, our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright, they shall have peace. The author of the first of the Bible's 150 Psalms describes for us in language that is both poignant and succinct the nature of the good life and the fruits of that life. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that to Jerry Goldberg, we can certainly apply these words of the psalmist and celebrate the inner sturdiness that a life well lived can bring. Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of God is their delight, and they study that teaching day and night. They are like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose foliage never fades, and whose fruit always flourishes. Let us join together now in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shemayim va'aretz. I lift mine eyes unto the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. Yea, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Kohelet, the author of the biblical book of Ecclesiastes, reminds us that for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Jerry Goldberg died in the late morning this past Tuesday at the age of 90. He lived a long, a remarkably full and purposeful life, and he touched everyone with whom he came into contact. All of us who loved him and who admired him will miss him. Jerry was born and raised in Toronto to Frank and Ann Goldberg. He graduated from Harvard Collegiate High School and went on to get his BA and his medical degree from the University of Toronto. From there, he accepted an internship at the fabled Mount Sinai Hospital here in Cleveland. When he completed his internship, his wife June wanted to return to Toronto, and Jerry was willing. But at that point, two realities emerged simultaneously. First, positions in Toronto in his field were scarce, and secondly, he was offered a job at Mount Sinai. And so he and June decided to stay in Cleveland. Jerry spent the next 33 years as an anesthesiologist at Mount Sinai, and soon he became one of the most important and most respected doctors at the hospital. Not only was Jerry a supremely competent physician, he was also a doctor whom his patients loved. And why? Because Jerry would devote a great deal of time to his patients, especially before surgery, answering their questions, allaying their anxieties, and in general, exhibiting the kindness and the empathy that were the very essence of his nature. And Jerry had a kind of old world sensibility about him. Every morning, Jerry would come to the hospital wearing a suit and a tie. He didn't really need to do this because upon arrival, he was going to go straight to the locker room to change into his scrubs. Many doctors arrived in jeans, and why not? They too were going straight to the locker room. But Jerry felt, and perhaps this was simply instinct with him, that both his profession and the hospital that he loved, deserved respect. And this was one of the ways, but certainly not the only way, that Jerry could and would do it. But then at the age of 60, Jerry decided to retire. And though one of his reasons for doing so was that he was tired of late-night emergency phone calls, but he retired because, as he once said to his dear colleague and friend, Dr. Irv Lidsky, "I simply want to slow things down." In addition, he had so many other passions that he wanted to pursue, like music, for example. Now, Jerry loved to play the piano, and he loved performing. And perhaps not many of you know this, he always wanted to play the piano at a bar. Soon after retiring, Jerry got his opportunity at the Zanzibar Polo Club on Larchmere Boulevard. And so for the next 2 years, there was Jerry playing at lunchtime and loving every minute of it. And this was just the beginning of what his daughter Ruth Ann called her father's rich retirement. During those years, Jerry pursued photography, and he played the recorder for the Cleveland Recorder Society. He painted, and of all things, he took boomerang lessons. He and his dear friend Marlene Krause provided music for patients, first at Mount Sinai, then at the Montefiore Home for the Aged. And Jerry especially loved playing at Mount Sinai because this enabled him to see former colleagues and friends. In addition, Jerry played tennis, and he and June took ballroom dancing lessons. He served as a docent at the Natural History Museum, and he and June traveled widely. As if all of this were not enough, he and June had season or partial season tickets to the orchestra, the opera, the Indians, the Cavs, notice the omission of the Browns, and the Playhouse. During these years, Jerry simply had the time of his life. Now, Jerry Goldberg happened to be one of those people to whom others adults and children alike naturally gravitated. Last night, as I sat with Jerry's adoring family, his children told me that when they were kids, their own friends would come over to the house, knock on the door, and ask, "Can Jerry come out and play?" And come out and play he did, throwing the baseball back and forth with the kids, horsing around, and feeling and expressing joy. Moreover, Jerry loved to welcome people into his home, to have his friends around him, to entertain them, and simply revel in his friendships. Lovely and lively and frequent Shabbat dinners at home were also special to him. Indeed, Jerry was a consummate family man. Nothing made him happier than to be surrounded by his family and to be a real and active presence in their lives. When his children were young, Jerry would get up especially early to drive his daughter Ruth Ann to her skating lessons or to take his kids to their music lessons. And I saw firsthand myself how Jerry later in life supported and lavished attention on his beloved wife June during the years of her long and gradual decline. Eventually, during those years, June had to be moved to Arden Courts out on Washington Street, beyond downtown Chagrin Falls, a significant drive from his home in Shaker Heights. But this didn't deter Jerry. He visited June every single day at Arden Courts, and for several years. Moreover, and I saw this too, Jerry made special efforts and complicated plans to take June out to dinner regularly at the Rain Tree Restaurant in Chagrin Falls, at first by himself, and then with the help of an aide, leading her, assisting her, loving her, with his characteristic kindness and gentleness and bottomless empathy. And Jerry continued these outings long after most people would have recognized the near impossible difficulty of doing so. And when June died, Jerry was heartbroken and for a long time nearly emotionally incapacitated by his loss. But he carried on and he continued to live. And it was his great good fortune that he and Marlene Krause deepened their relationship during his last years and experienced a wonderful compatibility and companionship. Marlene and Jerry enjoyed their music together. They attended and participated in the temple's TGIS services. And Marlene offered to have Jerry live in her home, where increasingly she looked after Jerry's health and provided a warm and loving environment for him. Indeed, Jerry Goldberg was loved by all who knew him. And as a dramatic expression of how people felt about him, when Jerry died, his children discovered hundreds of Facebook posts mourning his death and honoring his memory. Jerry Goldberg is survived by his daughter Ruth Ann, his sons Joel and Dan, by his son-in-law Andy and his daughters-in-law Michelle and Aaron, by his cherished friend Marlene, by his grandchildren Abby, Lauren, Aria, and Tristan, and by his sister Betty. He was predeceased by his parents Frank and Ann, by his wife June, by his brothers Leonard and Phil, by his brother-in-law Murray, and by his sisters-in-law Helen and Joyce. Jerry Goldberg lived an extraordinarily rich life. He made signal contributions to his profession. He pursued with vigor those many interests and activities that he loved, and he endeared himself to all who knew and respected him. Jerry Goldberg was, in a word, one of God's great gifts to our world. Zichrono livracha. His memory will always be our blessing. Amen. I now want to ask Jerry's son, Joel, to come forward and describe the life, the qualities, the accomplishments of his father.
Hi, everybody. On behalf of my brother and sister, thank you all for coming today. I'd like to start by reading an email sent to me by my friend Dan Abram. He lives in Boston. He said, "I was so sorry to hear the news. As you know, a big part of my time in Cleveland was spent with you and your family, lots of memories at your house in Mayfair. I don't think I ever beat Jerry at volleyball." One summer, I needed a doctor's signature for a camp physical. My parents sent me down to your house. Your dad opened the door and said, "2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 nose, you pass." He signed the form and I was on my way. And that story says a lot about my dad, great sense of humor, and his love of family and friends. And as the rabbi said, we have Facebook posts and emails coming in from all over North America. He was loved by so many. When the rabbi came to Marlene's yesterday to have a conversation yesterday, it was supposed to be a short discussion, but it turned into an almost 3-hour conversation. We couldn't stop telling stories about Dad, and the rabbi did a wonderful job of communicating that to everybody today. And as you all know, Dad had a lot of interests. That's why it was so easy for him to retire young. Music, art, photography, travel, dance, the Indians and the Cavs, and yummy butter tarts from Toronto. Those were a few of his passions. And as Dan Abrams said in his email, he was a great athlete. He was a superior tennis player. He played basketball and hockey with us all the time. He played basketball in university. But as I said, his greatest love really was his family. There was nothing he liked better than to be surrounded by family and friends over dinner and social events. And seeing his face light up when we brought Ari and Tristan to his condo for a visit is an image I'll carry with me forever. Hopefully I'll be able to finish. Take one break. Okay. 2 events from his later life will also be great memories for me: the Cavs winning the NBA championship and his 90th birthday party. As a season's ticket holder from day one of the Cavs' entry into the NBA, suffering through years and years of bad teams, nobody deserved that moment more than Dad. I was watching the final game at a pub in Toronto, and I was able to share that moment with Dad and family through FaceTime. And his 90th birthday party was magical. He got a burst of energy from being around family and friends and gave an amazing speech. And how wonderful was it to celebrate at Marlene's house with our amazing new family members, Marlene, Julie, and Rachel. Our children, Aria, June, and Tristan Jerry, will proudly carry Dad and Mom's names into the next generation. And Michelle and I will make sure every day they know how lucky they are. Thanks again for coming.
I now want to call on Jerry's granddaughter, Lauren, who will read a poem.
Hello. This poem was written for my grandfather's 90th birthday. It's titled "And Many, Many More." My grandpa is 90 years old. Mon grand-père a 90 ans. Uli haraboji ahon yonse yeo. 90 is an enormous number. To have 90 of anything is undoubtedly a success, even more so when it's in years. Time and age have no meaning when I gaze at a painting you made for me, still in the same place on the wall. Time stands still in the world of your music. Ageless are the songs you wrote and sing for us. Once again, I see myself learning piano from the virtuoso. And I am wiser and more skilled, but still just Lauren who runs to you, who finds a home in your arms. You say that being with family is a gift, and I believe you. It is your house that stands in my memories as the place for gathering holidays and Shabbat alike. There were more gifts, though, always more. More than material, more than even art and music and poetry. Your presence and the gifts of knowledge and wisdom. So for you, virtuoso, artist, poet, teacher, audience member, muse, and most importantly, Grandpa, I love you in so many words, and I could thank you in a million more, and it would never be enough. So today, I hope you know what I mean when I say, Happy birthday, Grandpa, and many, many more. Thank you.
O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, your love remains to comfort us and to give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things obey. Our life is a dance to a song that we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then it seems to cease. Whence the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life and the answer to all of life's mysteries. Will you please rise now for the El Mole Rachamim? El Mole Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamtze Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kadoshim Utahorim Kazohar Harakiamas Hirim Et Nishmat Gedalia Ben Ephraim Vachana, Shahalach la'olamo. Ba'al rachamim yastireh b'seter ganafav la'olamim. V'yitzror b'tzror ha'chayim et nishmato. Adonai hu nachalato v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Jerry Goldberg, our loved one who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say together, Amen. Will you please be seated? I want to announce that the family of Jerry Goldberg will receive friends at the residence at 18975 Van Aken Boulevard, apartment 310. They will receive friends today immediately after our interment service and until 8 o'clock this evening, and then tomorrow from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. Our service will continue now at Graveside at the Mayfield Cemetery. Once again, on behalf of the family, we so much appreciate your presence here with us this afternoon.